Now, I was referring to the fact that everybody needs money. And while this is the system, while this is the social consensus, everybody doesn't need money. But while it is the social consensus that that's what we all need, let's be frank about it. And not say, therefore, of the person whose interest is in higher things, whether it be academic, religious, or artistic, oh, you don't need money, because your satisfaction is surely in doing your work. The only people who need money are the people who are miserable at their work. Because they're there to make money. Let's drop the hypocrisy. The scholar, the artist, in this context where everybody has to have money to live, needs money just as much as everybody else and should be paid accordingly. This applies particularly to the teacher in the schools, or whatever, people who are put down and saying, oh, you're a teacher, or you're a clergyman. You don't need money because you live on the Spirit. That's rubbish. I repeat, in this context, where everybody has to have it. So, you think you can be a dropout and be a hippie. You have to go out on the street and say, you've got any spare change? No, you don't need money. You're a hippie. Don't fool yourselves. We all do. But we are living under conditions where money, as I have tried to explain, is not understood, where it is not seen for the fiction and the useful fiction which it is. And so what do? We have income tax, which is the most absurd system of accounting ever conceived. Have you ever figured out what it costs to pay income tax? Not just the tax itself, but the cost of paying it to yourself and to the government. It's colossal. And I raise the question then, why do it at all? Why doesn't the government simply take off the top as much money as it needs and issue the rest? It'd be much simpler. All the silly business that torments everybody would be cancelled. And the Department of Internal Revenue and all its officers, they needn't be frightened of losing their jobs, because they could simply be the officials who work it the other direction. In other words, they could be the dispensers of the money to everybody to pay them for the amount of work done by machinery on their behalf. I mean, doesn't that make sense? What we've got against this is not, as it were, an intellectual or mathematical block, but a psychological block. And don't see that that is the inner meaning of technology. To save labor. In other words, you could say that the Labour Party in all the various countries has never really understood that it has to be saved. And it works against its own salvation with ridiculous socialistic schemes of making everybody equally poor, which is what invariably happens, instead of making everybody equally rich. But of course, mind you, when we're all equally rich, there will always be people who want to outdo other people, and so feel psychologically that they're poor, even when they're in perfectly good health, very well fed, housed, and clothed. We want to go a little bit beyond, so as to show I'm more outstanding than you. And there, of course, we get into great metaphysical depths. But so far as the business of the matter is concerned, I think what I've said thus far should commend itself to your careful consideration.